zone. Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Please don't let me.
Well, we're all back once again, ready for the next trading week, and it's Monday, baby. And a Monday of new opportunities, perhaps, as well. Anyways, do want to welcome you back to Krown's Crypto Cave, and do want to wish you a happy and healthy start to your new trading week. Of course, it doesn't really fucking matter because Bitcoin doesn't sleep anyways. So no rest for the wicked on the weekends. Although there was rest for me because I don't really trade too much on the weekends. Just kind of watching price action. And what do you know? Bitcoin just holding the range and not breaking out to major upside moves or major downside moves. Mostly just holding that critical 9,600-ish level and right below that 10,100-ish level, of which target's been met yesterday. And then I didn't really have too much to say after that 10,100-ish region, or 10,050, I think is what we got up to. And what do you know? Bitcoin comes back down, fills a gap. Anyways, we'll talk about that, of course, once we get into the actual content of this video. I do want to say I will be on Twitch later today, unless if catastrophic events occur once again. For whatever reason, I'm feeling really, really tired today. I don't know why. I got like a phenomenal night of sleep last night, but whatever. Sometimes my body just, whatever the fuck it wants to do, it's going to do. Anyways, with all of that said, I'd like to port on over into the live scene over here to look at some Krown trading applications. First, before that, I'd like to wish you the best of the best as always, and the happiest of the happiest. And let's go check it out, what's going on right in over here. And we do see that Bitcoin dominance more or less steady, still that 6280-ish read that we've been seeing for the last few days. So I do believe that we are on the precipice of an actual shift in market. Not only that, that's with regards to alts versus Bitcoin, of course, but not only that, but we do still see open interest at a relatively high level. Of course, about a couple hundred million have been shaved off since end of last week, but I do believe that this still is going to give us enough momentum to actually break the current range that we're in, probably by end of this week. And I'm going to show a few things, especially with regards to historical volatility percentile and expected moves, and of course some other market leaders in this space that I think are going to be highly suggestive that we do get a move probably sometime around the end of this week or end of this month, which I think pretty much is the end of this week. Yeah, we only got like what 5 days left in February, and I do believe that we probably break the range sometime around then, between now and next Monday. Anyways, with all that said, let's get into the charts right now, and I want to start off a little bit differently today. I want to check out Litecoin, Mrs. Litecoin. She is once again, I do think, leading the market, looking very, very good here, closing the weekly on a very high point. And what do you know? Closing the weekly even above last week's, well, technically not above last week's doji-ish type dildo, but above the closure of last week's doji-ish type dildo, which I do put a lot of weight on. Since then, we've come back down, filled the initial open of it, and classic bounce initiated off that. And more importantly, when we go zoom down into the lower term timeframes, I'm not even using moving averages right now. You do see that Mrs. Litecoin has kind of taken out that last little swing high right here. So once again, I do believe that this is indicative that this is a more healthy consolidation, likely to be resolved to the upside. Of course, still the upside resolution is not going to be had until realistically we trade and we either trade above about 84.50 or close a daily dildo above 83 bucks. So it's really not going to be all that different. I think just waiting for a wick in this case is probably going to be good enough. But here's the thing, putting on the drawing tools, this is all that it is right now. And we do see that Bitcoin's kind of following in its footsteps. And I would say that this is likely going to align with Bitcoin reapproaching that 5-digit number whenever probably earlier this week in this current week. More importantly, though, looking at Mrs. Litecoin, momentum oscillators are actually looking good here. Daily Stokes simply crossed back up to the upside. Now, yes, they are under a little bit of pressure, but it is still early in the day. So I would say that any sort of a daily total close back above the closure of what we saw in the last swing high, which is 77 and about a half, is going to be interpreted more or less good by the market. And I would look for another foray into the blue box territory, likely the back end of it, right around the last prior high at about 83 bucks. And then we'll see if it actually does close above. If it does, then we can extend targets all the way to realistically probably 90-ish, 90 to 92 bucks. Yeah, in this pocket over here, I want to just extend a nice little blue box for it, and it'd be somewhere right around here, which would accurately get about the $90 to $93 region. So that's what I'm looking at right here. We do still see that on the weekly, more or less healthy from a momentum oscillator perspective. And if we go check out the moving averages as well, I'm curious to see what these guys are doing. And what do you know? We're about to see the red 10 symbol cross the upside of the yellow 21, both with pretty damn positive slopes. I do like that read on both of them. So I think that Mrs. Litecoin is kind of speaking to the health right now, and certainly speaking more to the bullish side of the greater market, as we have seen Mrs. Litecoin lead to the upside before. And I think that that's likely what's happening right now. This one probably had one of the better weekly closes amongst all the different trading assets in this market. And if we go over here to Bitcoin, we can see that, sorry, actually, I want to stay on Litecoin just for another second. The reason being because I just realized that historical volatility percentile on the weekly here is incredibly low. I mean, this is just crushed. So we do have very, very likely enough momentum or at least enough energy kind of pent up in order to bust through and make a major massive move in this market. To me, that means we either come back down, test probably somewhere around the 21 at around $63.50. I think it's a little bit less likely, but hey, very, relevant to speak about, especially if our low side area breaks right around $69.50, then yes, I would target moves down there. But keeping in mind that even on the daily, I mean, we're above all major moving averages. We're bouncing on top of the red 10 simple. We have the golden cross on exponentials right here as they gain divergence away from each other, mean that strengthening to the upside. I'm bullish. I've remained bullish for the last week or so throughout this consolidation, and now I think that the time for it to actually move is very likely near, probably between now and very beginning of the coming month, March. Now I want to say, when it comes to historical volatility percentile, it doesn't tell us the exact date of when a move is. It tells us that something is more likely. So at this point, when you do see that it's this low, it's just saying that this is kind of an outlier for it to be this low volatility in comparison to the last look back period. So to me, this is saying that very, very as time kind of goes forwards here, we are getting more and more likely to break. I mean, that's kind of like an obvious thing that I think most people would intuitively get, but it's essentially just validating the overall analysis that this consolidation is ready to rock and roll relatively soon. And I would say from pretty much all perspectives, no, I shouldn't say that. I should not say that. But I do think that, it's more or less healthy and it's more or less constructive. And just like the downside could be very catastrophic all the way to about 62.5. If we do break below 69.5, I would be looking at just as relevant of a move to the upside if we do break to the upside, which will be had on any sort of a daily total close above that 83, about $83 number, or just a tick above 84.50, whichever one happens first, I'm good enough with, and probably going to incite some continuation all the way up to the next major area as we just kind of defined between about 90 to 93 bucks. So keep that in mind as we go check out Bitcoin now, which we'll get on over to exactly at this moment. And what do you know, Bitcoin, hold on, I don't want to start off with the weekly just yet, although the weekly I really like, but starting off with Bitcoin right here, I want to take everything off except for this. It's all it's fucking been for the last few days. Just play the range. As long as we hold the bottom side of this range, I am overall bullishly biased, but that doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to move upwards and onwards from this point, like today, this exact moment. We can certainly play within this region for a little bit more time, but I would say that as long as Bitcoin is not breaking below about 9,550, 9,600 on a higher time frame, 12-hour or greater closure, not necessarily looking at this as bearish, and more importantly, looking at this from a keeping Mrs. Litecoin in mind. Remember, she actually took out that last prior swing high right here from the 17th of Feb. Let's just go back to it for a second here. I'm referring to this point right here. Looking at Bitcoin, it does seem to me that Bitcoin likely wants to follow suit. And if it does, we'd see any sort of a daily total closure above 10,200. And that would be actually good enough to make me bullish for the next move, at the very least to 10.6. And realistically, I do believe that we get extension to about 11 or 10.9 to 11,000. So let me just mark off these areas right here. Obviously, this area is going to be relevant to our last kind of spikes coming in from this failed, well, I wouldn't necessarily call this a failed rally. I call this a complete scam wick. That's actually a really good use of that term right there. And then of course our more well-defined range from a long-term perspective right below 11,000 bucks even. Anyways, so yes, if Bitcoin does close above this last prior swing high right here at about 10,200 on a 12-hour or daily, I will target those areas very, very likely. And of course, if Bitcoin even just ticks above, realistically, if Bitcoin even just ticks above 10,400, I do believe we will get that continuation play. Or, for the more aggressive traders, you could use the swing high of this one, which is 10,315 on a swing basis. On a tick basis for GDAX. And I believe that's pretty consistent amongst all major exchanges. Holy shit, man. My eyes are just absolutely they're encrusted with that disgusting shit that you sleep in, I guess it's called sleep. I don't know. Anyways, while we are here on the daily, I'll put back on all major moving averages and just want to show once again that Bitcoin holding above the yellow 21 exponential moving average, which to me, still more or less healthy as far as the long term goes. We have golden cross, of course, confirmed on the exponentials back on over here. And for all the people screaming about the simple moving average golden cross, well, that's where you get right on over here, which we got a little bit earlier last week. So both of these, more importantly, getting major divergences away from each other. I'm talking about the pale green green and the white. Those are the simples. They are obviously very, very much strengthening against each other. And then we do see the exponentials, which are also diverging away from each other, which is telling us that this trend is strengthening to the upside. And this is coming during a consolidation phase above a major macro level, which was our last prior weekly swing high, coming in back on over here. You can see that it's been tested multiple times. To me, that is, again, constructive and more healthy long term. And that also encompasses the idea that a point of failure would be on any sort of a breakage below there. So 95.50, absolutely critical. As long as we're above it, I'm more or less bullish. As if we break it to the downside, I would look for moves likely back down to, extremely likely back down below 9,000, probably somewhere around 85, 8,600 before the next major bounce. But until that happens, I'm not bearish. I'd be happy to switch around to bearish if that's what happens. But for right now, that's not what we have in front of our face. And looking at if Litecoin's anything to look at, I would say that more likely that we move on to the upside. Now, I do want to take everything off and look at this simply from a simple moving average perspective, no pun intended. But I want to put on all my simples, which I very rarely do when I'm creating videos. But I do this. I do this quite often in my. I said doo yesterday and just realized it, and then there was actually someone who's very angry about that. So fair enough. Doo motherfucker. Anyways. It's just fucking stupid, man. Anyways, I mess up speaking English all the time, and it's the only language that I that I know. So feel free, and I truly mean this, to regale me in the comments because it's actually pretty damn funny. Anyways, looking at just simple moving averages from this perspective, we do see that the 30 simple moving average has been governing all of our bottoms here, and I put a lot of weight on that. Not only do I put the most weight on the 30 simple moving average for the slope analysis of it, which is certainly still positive, you can see that it is governing these lows as we get the golden cross, which is kind of like your classic buy area. So do I think that Bitcoin is going to bounce off this area? Yeah, I do. And I do think that you could even use the 30 simple moving average as another failure point. So as long as we're not closing daily doldrums below it, I have no real problem with price action, and that could give us a little bit more of a leeway with getting aggressively bearish if need be. But as you can see, we've held the lows all the way through this region, and a change of behavior would be had if we do close below it, I would imagine. So with that in mind, let's go over here and let's check out the weekly, because we just got a new weekly in accordance with yesterday's closure at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I do want to discuss a few things here that we've been kind of referring to over the last few weeks. And most importantly, it would be the relationship between the red 10 simple and the yellow 21 exponential moving average, which, let me just take everything else off right now, has officially crossed the upside. So we have a lower period crossing above a higher period, which intuitively tells you that the trend is strengthening to the upside. More importantly, from the history of this asset, we do see that this has it's a pretty efficacious cross here. We do see going all the way back to April 2019, not all that long ago, during this consolidation phase. Sounds familiar, right? After creating a higher high on the weekly. Sounds familiar, right? And it gets across. You can kind of look at this as a test down here, and then boom, massive move up as they diverge away from each other. Kind of same thing that's going on right on over here as well. And times before that, also to the downside, of course, works as well. Right on over here, crossing the downside, boom, major move down, boom, major move down, and then of course all the way back through 2015, we got the bullish cross of these, and it led us all the way from essentially like $250 to $20,000. So I do like the higher time frame look on this, and I'm starting to like the lower time frame more and more as well. And with Bitcoin already filling the gap from CMEs after tagging that 10,000, I was saying the target yesterday of 10,100. We got 10,050. Close enough is close enough to me. But to me, that's kind of like reset the whole lower time frame oscillators, and I think that's more or less building a case here. I think that we're building a massive cause, really. Looking at weekly momentum oscillators, we see weekly Stokes absolutely just soaring into the bullish control zone. I do like this read because, more importantly, we have maintained in the bullish control zone for the first time since fucking March 2019, which was essentially this price action right here, leading up for the essentially $4,000 to $14,000 move. Pretty fucking nice. And we do see, more importantly, that weekly RSI has actually come all the way down here, funnily enough, and I do essentially consider this a test of the blue box territory. Do I want to see it come down a little bit further and officially test it? Yeah, that would be nice. But at the end of the day, you do see that this essentially could count as a retest of that region. And more importantly, I am long-term looking at this as healthy and bullishly biased from just an RSI perspective, as long as we are above this blue box, as that has accurately gotten our bull markets in the past, all the bullish dumps, coming in all these spikes down to the blue box territory between about 55 and 56. You can measure this one for yourself, which I strongly suggest to do. But getting all these major lows right here would have been a phenomenal buy area during the upwards markets. And by the same token, whenever Bitcoin was living below this area on weekly RSI, phenomenal sell areas during bear markets like 2018, right around here, telling you to sell pretty much right at 11,500. So not so bad when Bitcoin goes from 11.5 to 31. Pretty damn good, actually. And on top of that, we do see that historical volatility percentile is, just like Litecoin, incredibly fucking low, which tells us that we're likely to see expansion sooner rather than later. We've only really been this low a few times in history, one of them being March 2019, which precipitated this major rally from, again, 4,000 to 14,000, right around here in August 2016, precipitating this rally from 600 to essentially 20,000 bucks. This area right here, precipitating this move from 415 to 800. I mean, literally a 2x just about a month or two later. So this is a weekly, so it is going to take some time to play out. And then, well, that's pretty much it. Or we have this example right here from about 220 to 350, 400 bucks. So again, another pretty damn impressive move. My point is not to say that anytime that we get this low in historic volatility percentile that price action moves up. No, that is not it at all. It can certainly come to the downside, but it is suggesting that we are going to be looking at a pretty damn big move sooner rather than later in this next, probably outside of this range right here, which is going to drive either at the very least $1,000 move to the downside, probably back down to 8,500. I think that's a little bit less likely, or above this blue box territory right here at about 10.3, and I'd be looking for ultimately a move probably towards 11.5 to 12,000 with stops along the way. One of them being 10.6, then like 10.9, 11,000, and then 11.5, 12,000. Remember, that is also in line with the measure move on CME's inverted head and shoulder, which is still very much valid here. As I've been saying, this measure move pointed all the way up towards our August 2019 highs is still very much valid as long as we are holding the proverbial neckline of this, which you can see was retested last week and valiantly held above as major moving averages cross in a more bullish way. So I would say that this is once again, kind of verifying that whole trajectory. We also do see that weekly RSI, I think, is a little bit more of a cleaner weed. How do I speak English? Fuck. I'm always like second guessing myself with the words. But looking at this right here, first attempts at the bullish controls and gets rejected. We come back down to the neutral, and so far holding up above the exponential. I do like that. It's not really telling us much more than that. Same thing with Stokes. Not really telling us anything that we didn't see on spot price action. But more importantly, this horizontal right here is still valiantly holding, which tells us that we can use this two ways. In fact, I would say that we could just as easily look at the downside as the upside, just from a continuation point off this doji dildo right here. If Bitcoin takes out the bottom side of this prior weekly doji dildo right here first, I would look for that move down to at the very least 8,500-ish region, and probably lower than that over time, maybe even 75. By the same token, if Bitcoin takes out the top side of this doji-ish dildo first at 10,545, then yes, I would look for that upside continuation. 11,000, then 11.5 region. Keep in mind that 11.5 to 12,000 is also very much interesting because that is actually one of the only gaps that's present on CMEs right here. Of course, with this one already being filled, that's quite literally the only one on the board as far as I see. And it's still very much relevant. And I do believe that if Bitcoin did make it around there, we would likely see a pullback from that region. Not only because it's just a gap on CMEs coming from that region, but this is the area of major fuckery for the last 2 years on Bitcoin. You can see that Bitcoin in this blue box territory has just gotten all the institutional order flow absolutely cluttered in this region as institutions using it, or bigger players using it to grab liquidity for big bad sells. So that would be right around that $11,500 to $12,000 marker, which is again in line with the measure move from the inverted head and shoulders. And I'm sure that if we made this falling channel as well, it'd probably be consistent with that as well. In fact, let's just do it really, really quickly right now, just for our own knowledge. Anyways, something like this, what I'm looking at. Boom. And we have this guy down here, governing lows, a nice falling channel. Again, not like super, what do you fucking know? It's pointed up right towards 11,000. Actually, I would think that would be a little bit more. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe we do want all these wicks. Yeah, it depends where you let that wick kind of fall. Whether you're going to be more conservative with it, you'd be saying 11,000. Whether you're going to be more aggressive with it, you'll say 11.5. It's all within the same region. I think that CME inverted head and shoulders is a lot more clear and concise on that read as well. So That's what I'd be looking at right there. As far as I'm concerned, it's mostly the same thing that I've been saying over the past weeks. Just now, things are really just starting to get more mature within this consolidation, which I do believe is suggesting that it's time to pay attention once again as that move is upon us. Remember that it's also the end of the month. Let me just make sure. Yes, it's going to be the end of the month on Saturday. That's the last day of the month, the 29th of February. It is a leap year, and that means that we should be paying attention to not only the higher time frames like the weekly, but also the monthly, which says, as it stands, pretty damn good. Any sort of a close above the 10 simple at 9100 looks more or less fine. And more importantly, we can see that momentum oscillators from the monthly read are healthy here. We do see, so let's go to Stamp actually for a second. We do see that monthly Stokes did get rejected from the bullish control zone. That's fine, but coming back down quickly after that and then looking like they are getting weaker to the downside and wanting to cross back up to the upside, and they will cross back up to the upside, assuming that Bitcoin closes anywhere. I mean, even if it closes here, it probably does, but especially above 9,900, very, very likely we'll get that. And I would say that that's going to very, very likely allow us to kind of retest these highs coming in from about half a year ago. Not only that, monthly RSI looking more or less healthy here, back above the exponential. I like both those reads for the long term, and that, this is what I'd essentially be paying attention for long term. Now, we've spoken about all of this. We haven't even covered the lower term time frames. Let's go back to them right now. Let's go see what's going on right here. And realistically, we actually can. Okay, this chart's way too convoluted. Let me pull up a fresh one once again. Okay, this chart's a little bit less convoluted, but still a little bit too much. So once again, because Bitcoin is holding this range so well, and because that last little dump dildo that we saw yesterday night is so well defined, there can be another like meeting of the range kind of described here, which does offer up a little bit of trading edge. Anyways, more importantly, Jesus Christ, I forgot to even talk about this. I did take another long position on the retest of 9,600. I entered in like a couple bucks below 9,600. I think we got down to what, like 95, 85. Yeah. So I'm quite happy with that. Again, not because it's guaranteed to work out. It's not a guaranteed to work out trade. It's just, I like the edge on this one, and a very clear and well-defined area to manage risk on the bottom side at 9,550 or 9,500 on a 4-hour total closure. I'm happy to take that, and put it into the expected value grinder essentially. Anyways, what I would be looking for is another retest back up to about 99.50. However, any sort of a closure above 99.50 on a 4-hour total time frame, or even just a takeout of yesterday's wick high, which was 10,050-ish region, depending upon which exchange that you're looking at, I would look for extension realistically towards like 10,300, 10,400 up here. So I actually would be targeting this move right here. And while I will take profit on this position, if we do get back around like 99 or 99.50, it'll only be partial, because I actually do think that this is quite likely. Looking at momentum oscillators on the lower term time frames, not really getting too much off this. We do see that 4-hour Stokes have a nice trend line forming down around here, kind of governing our lows, which would be coming in right at the edge of the bearish control zone. So I do think that we probably come down here, and that's going to be the next sort of what's called opportunity, I think, perhaps for adding our position, or just getting another one of those spikes, as probably do get another one of those spikes, to be fair. Looking at 4-hour RSI, we're not really getting too much off this. It's more or less neutral, more or less inconclusive, just showing a consolidation. 4-hour historical volatility percentile expanding a little bit, but again, not really, more so on the case of contraction over the long period of time, which tells us that we're winding up for the big bad move, which is likely to force us out of one of the critical regions, once again below 95.50 or above about 10,250, 10,300 region. Going down to the 3-hour, I just want to see this one. Yeah, we do see 4-hour and 3-hour pretty much exactly in line with each other. We see a more well-defined trend line on the 3-hour, by the way, which is coming in all the way back from our early February lows. So getting this low right here, 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 getting this low right here. And you can imagine that if we do, come back down and graze this level, we probably will put in another test on this trend line. And I do believe that could be another opportunity. Looking at 3-hour RSI, it's actually not. It's still consolidating. It's still kind of neutralish region, but it does suggest that maybe we have a little bit of down to go in the shorter term time frames. So I do expect to see some on the hourly or 2-hour to be indicative of that, and we can kind of come up with an idea. But historic volatility percentile, same thing, contracting over the long period of time. We are winding up. This this consolidation is still maturing a little bit, but it's very, very close, very, very close. Looking at 2 hour, yeah, we're not really getting anything different off this as well, which is good because that means that when they all turn, they're all likely to move together. And if they're all likely to move together, that's going to provide a lot of momentum. So everything's kind of like, you know, think of it as like a fucking accordion getting stretched out, and now it's like coming back into it with itself. This makes no sense. That makes no sense because I don't even know how an accordion works now that I think about it. But what I'm trying to say is, like, you know, it's like a rubber band. When it contracts, it builds up all this energy and then it can expand. And when you have all these time frames kind of coming in at the same time, then that can be interpreted as as just an extra force on top of that. Because a lot of the times you see bifurcation between the lower term time frames and kind of like the medium term time frames. We're not seeing that right now. We're seeing everything contract actually, which is just more and more and more and more and more energy being built up essentially for a big bad break. So yeah, seeing more or less the same thing on the 2 hour. I would imagine the hourly is going to be about the same thing as well. Yeah, hourly kind of floundering around here, not really giving us all that much. In fact, looking at the hourly and 2 hour, I would take back my idea that we're going to swipe like 96 or 96.50 again. It looks to me like we want to pop back up and test around like 98.50. This is obviously very, very low time frame stuff. I don't think this is all that helpful. More importantly, for the low time frame ranges, the more actionable areas are again going to be this little swing high right here, about 99.50. It closed above there, and I'll target to move towards 10.250 to 10.3 or 10.4 region, and of course a close below our low side. Let's put another blue box right here. Our lower blue box right here, anywhere below, let's call it like 95.50 or 9,500 on a lower term time frame as opposed to a higher term time frame, then yes, I would start to target moves down below 9,000-ish region, with bounces along the way at about 9,200 and then 8,800 and then probably 85. Again, I'm not really looking for that to happen, but of course, got to talk about both sides because as always, it's probability and statistics. You know, they work both ways, don't they? Anyways, okay, cool. So we've been speaking about 26 minutes now. Great. All right, let's go check out. Is there anything else on CMEs to be aware of that we didn't already see? No, not really. CMEs do look like they want to swipe the low side again, though. To be fair, I'm not so married to that idea. If CME also is a little bit more bullish, immediately speaking, well, then again, going to the 3 hour, 2 hour, that would be not true. And hourly, yeah, I'm not really seeing anything of particular interest here. Lower term time frames are not what I'm interested in right now because we're so close to the next big break. I do believe right now it's time to be waiting for one of those macro levels to be hit. 95.50 on a higher term time frame, 10.3, 10.2 on a higher term time frame to the upside, and those are going to be the big plays here. And I do believe that we're very, very close. Anyways, we don't have anything to update on traditional markets or really Forex. Well, we could talk about gold really quick. Gold absolutely shattered my 1630 target right here, and that initiated our next target all the way up to about 1690 or basically 1700. Looks to me like it's gonna get there. I would expect a small pullback in this region and then reassess after that. Have to keep in mind though, the monthly is gonna be closing soon, and this is more or less very, very healthy. But yes, I would be looking for a pullback anywhere right around 1700. And then perhaps another little small phase of consolidation as looking at the monthly right here, actually not all that much stopping you from about 1800 to be fair. So a little bit longer term, I still do think that I actually still think that there's a little bit more upside, but I would expect the weekly to have a little bit of a pullback after hitting this next target. In fact, you could even say that we're pretty much there already, coming about $9 shy of the full intended target here. But yeah, I would be thinking a pullback right here on at the very least the low and medium time frames, and then longer term actually probably still is a little bit more very, very healthy long-term chart. Looking at some Forex pairs really quickly, we got dollar yen right here. Dollar yen coming back down after hey, actually did this one? Wow, this one shattered our target to the upside as well. I do think that this one's going to come down here though, probably base off of 111 even and then bounce. See how the weekly looks. Weekly is more or less strong. So yeah, I do think after a short-term pullback here, again, maybe back down to like 111 even, I'd look for another try to the upside. Longer term, still 113.5 to 114 is where I'd be looking for. Pound yen, and of course this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Same thing here, essentially. Maybe a small pullback to open up the week. I know that this one can pump it up like no other, and I wouldn't put it past to dump all the way back down to like 143.5. But I do think that it bounced there. I do think that ultimately it's going to reach for this 146 target right here. Euro dollar bouncing a little bit, and I do think that we spoke about a bounce last week. And yes, coming off this lower bound right here, I do think that the bounce probably gonna pop back up to like 109-ish region, and then come back and reassess longer term. I still think that there's a little bit more downside looking at the monthly once again as it comes to a closure. Yeah, probably gonna bounce back up to like 109, but I would look for a continuation over the next few months, probably like 106 region. What else do we want to look at? Maybe some altcoins, altcoins. I love altcoins. They're great. Let's look at Link right here. Link, nice strong consolidation at the top after having a pretty massive breakout. Oh wow! It actually ended up kind of reaching towards that 40,000 Satoshi target to the downside. Okay, so we are losing this as an ascending triangle. So I was wrong about my revision yesterday. Should I kept it like this? And yes, I do think that it probably does pop back down around here. However, I'm not bearish on it. I still do think that this is more or less healthy. I would not really get like full on bearish for this asset until it closes the daily doodle below. Let's call it like 39,500 Satoshis. Again, English is just not coming to me today, man. I should have stayed in dreamland last night. I feel like I could have used like another 30 minutes to an hour to sleep. But I actually slept like 9 hours last night. It's kind of weird. Happens every once in a while. Anyways, yeah, probably does have a little bit more downside here. However, bearish is not the right term. I'm not bearish until it actually breaks below 39,500-ish region. Higher term time frames are still more or less very, very healthy. I have no major issues with this at all whatsoever. Monthly higher time frames looking more or less good as well. So shorter term time frames, again, I would actually be looking for a short term pop back up, probably like 45,000 Satoshis. Well, we do obviously have a trend line forming right here now, don't we? Something like this. Let me just get rid of this one. Too many trend lines going on. Yeah, maybe another pop back up towards 45,000 Satoshis. I don't think that it has momentum to break out to the upside. If it does break above there, I would target the top side of this at 47,300. But for right now, to me, it looks like it's going to go through a little bit of a phase consolidation, and then that'll set it up for a nice, perhaps March, like end of March or something like that. This one's had one of the better moves, and I do think that it's going to spend some time essentially working its way through here. But very, 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 very short term probably does pop back on up, but I'd expect it to play within a range in this guy right here, and then maybe next month it reaches for the next major targets to the upside. We can look at Cardano really quick. What's Cardano doing? This is bullshit time frame right here. Let's go to a daily perhaps. Okay, so again, popping back up, it's not the picture of health and fitness, I'll say that, but at the same point in time, a lot of vaults kind of catching a break here, and I would say that I would still stick with what I've been saying until we actually close a daily doodle below, let's call it like 600 Satoshis, maybe like 590-ish region. I wouldn't necessarily get bearish on it. It looks to me like it probably does want to pop back up towards 650-ish region. Again, most alts are looking more or less poised for a nice bouncy bounce here or continuation. We do see daily Stokes pretty beat up, but actually still down. See daily RSI kind of the same thing, right in the middle of the neutral zone, so more or less neutral by that estimation. But you can see that we do have a golden cross perhaps on the way. So the longer that this thing just doesn't break below, let's call it 590 to be a little more conservative here, the more and more it will likely just blast its way back up to the prior high and probably beyond. And by prior high I mean this high right here, not the fucking all-time high at 680, 690. And if that area can be taken out, then yep, I would start targeting moves actually quite a lot significantly higher, somewhere right around 800 to 850, at which point I'd be looking for a major top to be put in. But for right now, sideways is more or less constructive, more or less fine. And the bias is still, I suppose, with the bulls here. Let's go check out Bitcoin dominance just to do a little bit of TA on a chart that you should probably not be doing TA on. But looking at me like it's actually kind of getting ready for a bounce here, perhaps. I don't really have a strong opinion on this. It does look like it's getting ready for a bounce, but fair enough. I don't have a strong opinion on this actually. If I had to call it right here, I'd actually be bullish on it. But I don't think that TA works as well on something like this. Yes, it does get some things more or less right here and there, but I don't think it's as easy as just looking at it like a stock standard altcoin. The best thing to do is like look at the market leaders, which has been Link and then also Ethereum and Litecoin Bitcoin pairings have good reads as well for the general market. Ethereum, a Butyrol Bitcoin looking more or less good. good here, having a nice high level consolidation in the formation of an ascending triangle. I would imagine that the next target, if it does break above or close above, what is this, like 279,000 Satoshis or whatever the fuck that number is, I'd be targeting to move back up towards the 3 million? Yeah, the 3 million area right here. And this one, again, looks more or less good, consolidating above all major moving averages. Golden cross has already officially happened and basically has a bullish reaccumulation formation in its face as well. If this one does come back down, I'd look for bounces right around 2,600,000 Satoshis. I'm not necessarily bearish on this one. I do think that it has upside here. If it does pull back, that's what I'd be looking for, and probably a big bad bounce right there. Anyways, let's see. What about Mrs. Litecoin really quick? I am curious what she's doing versus Satoshi's. More or less the same thing here, looking more or less healthy. You know, if it does pull back, I'd be looking for a pullback to like 760,000 Satoshis, but a big, you know, very, very likely at the very least a bounce there and continuation above our last prior highs. Realistically, in this zone would be the next major area to be looking at, right around 950,000 Satoshis. Looking pretty good. Let's go check out the dollar pairings as well. Mr. Buterol closing at a very high level. I really like this one as well. Perhaps a pullback back down to 259 this week, but I do believe that that would be bought on up. And that is essentially where... that's kind of where we got to last night. Well, a little bit above there. Same thing going on here, though. Looks to me like a nice, healthy consolidation above all major moving averages. And any sort of a move back above that 285 high or whatever we printed over here. I think it was about 285. And I'd be targeting moves towards about 315, give or take $5 up there, just around this last prior high. It's looking more or less good. Again, more or less constructive here over the long period of time. I do think that Buterol is getting ready for probably for a move into the 300s, 310 region. Again, give or take about $5. Litecoin, what's Litecoin looking like? Well, we already looked at it on the dollar parent, so we don't need to do that. We can look at Mr. Ripples once again. I'm curious to check on him. Still yet to close on higher highs on a weekly closing basis, so hard to be bullish here. If we do take out last week's low, I would be very, 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 very skeptical about this asset, and I would target moves likely back down to about 23 to 24 cents. By the same token, moving back above last week's high doesn't do all that much for us. I need to see a weekly close above the last prior swing high, 30 cents even. If it can do that, then yes, I'd target moves towards 40 to 50 cents, but for right now, still struggling pretty massively, actually. Definitely a laggard in this market. Anyways, what else do we want to look at? I think that's probably it. Do we have any other good altcoins to follow? I am going to be looking to add some altcoins to the looks here. I would humbly ask that if you do want to make a request to add an altcoin to like my daily watch list, it's preferably doing something different, or you look at it as like a leader for whatever reason. It's doing something that the pack is not. So if I see two fucking charts that look the goddamn same, I will probably blow a gasket once again in my brain. I mean, if I see like a Cardano chart and then the fucking whatever else, like just pick a random shitcoin like Ncash or some. There's no value in looking at that because they're more or less the same. You know, you're not going to be really getting anything unique from that chart. But if you have an altcoin that's completely off the beaten path, that would be something that I'm interested in. I think Tezos is maybe another one that is interesting. Let's go check them out really quick. Tezos USD on Finex. I think this will be a good one to end with. This is not closing on new highs. We do have a chart here, or we do have an exchange that's been trading for longer than this on HitBTC. Yes, indeed. And I do think we're still looking at continuation on Tezos, probably up towards like $4.25 to $5. Quite a big range. I'd probably say more towards like $5. $5 longer term looks good to me. Just this prior swing high right here. Along the way, though, I would be cautious of $4.25 though. $4 to $4.25 does look like an area of a potential pullback for the medium term timeframes. But for right now, just playing a nice little range. It could come back down to 265, but I would be looking for bounces there, and then another try continuation to the upside. Again, same sort of thing here as we see on most of the healthier assets. This one obviously being a little bit more on the stronger side. And what do you know? It's consolidated at a high level. But again, I'd wait for confirmation for the next leg up. I need to see a daily total close above $3.25, be $3.25 to the non-American fiat induced minded out there. $3.25. We can close above there. Then yeah, target moves towards $4.25 short, medium term, probably pull back there. Continuation long term to $5-ish region. Anyways, to go back and wrap up Mr. Bitcoin. Oh fuck! It's already been 40 minutes. What the hell? What the actual fuck? I know I say this every time, but it really is bizarre to me that I would not think that I'd be able to speak 40 minutes about this. It's pretty strange, man. It's pretty fucking strange. But again, oh well, just want to be thorough with my thoughts. Overall, Bitcoin on the lower term time frames playing in a range between 99.50 and 95.50, or sorry, 9,500, 95.50. On a 4-hour total closure below this level, below 95, I would get bearish for moves down to essentially 8,500 with stops along the way at 92, 88, and then 85, and maybe even lower than that over time. By the same token, a short-term move back above 99.50, or even just taking out yesterday's high at 10.50ish region, and I look for extension all the way up short term to 10.2 to 10.3, and in any sort of a higher time frame close above 10.200, like a 12-hour or daily or above, and I'd get bullish for extension to 10.6, probably a short term pullback there. 10.9, 11,000, probably another short-term pullback there, and then ultimately 11.5 to 12,000 is where I'll be looking towards. So that's going to do it for right now. I'll be very, very likely on Twitch later, assuming that I don't like fall asleep middle of the day and catch up on whatever sleep I did not get last night. And with that said, I want to wish you all once again, take care, and until next time.